Well, the politicians laugh it off, and if you ask anybody in a position of authority in Washington about the idea that there's a plan well underway to create a North American Union along the lines of the European Union, which would be composed, among other things, of a great big superhighway system that would connect all three countries. In fact, there you see a map extrapolating from some information that the people who believe in this. It's a fairly widely believed theory, believe it or not.
All right, well, what is the background? What's going on here?
Well, Wolf, there's a lot of talk in the blogosphere and conspiracy theorists who believe that this summit was really a secret plot, if you will, to establish a super government in support of big business, that even there would be some sort of super highway that would be traveling through all three of the countries. All leaders got quite a bit of a chuckle out of this one. We even heard from Prime Minister Harper, who said, look, they manufacture, the rules for manufacturing jelly beans are different in Canada as well as the United States. If you standardize the jelly bean, it's not a threat to Canada's sovereignty. So obviously, a lot of suspicion on the part of what this summit was really about, but they assured people, look, there's nothing really to worry about.
I'm amused by the difference between what actually takes place in the meetings and what some were trying to say takes place. It's quite comical, actually, when you realize the difference between reality and what some people are talking on TV about.
Within the next 4 years, we will see the emergence of a new international order.
The beginning of a new international order.
Sometimes I like to compare the European Union as a creation to the organization of empires.
Apart from that, I think one thing people who are dollar-based need to focus on is the Amero. That's the one thing that nobody's talking about, but I think it's going to have a big impact on everybody's life in Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. If you Google it, you'll find out all about it.
The United States is in a key position to shape this so that the problem of the Bush presidency will be the emergence of a new international order,
effectively surrendering the sovereignty of the United States.
And as justification for trusting those who would have the authority, the argument is made that free trade promotes democracy and the welfare of the people. But Lou, one has to look no further than China to see whether that, in fact, is true.
This is the flip side to China's economic miracle. In the country's massive property boom, government officials and developers are making untold billions seizing people's land to build on. It's a land grab on an unprecedented scale, and the full force of the state is being used to crush any protest. It looks like a medieval battle, but this is protest control in 21st century China. An army of hired thugs moving on villagers to seize their land. They're armed with guns and stun grenades that meet fierce resistance as villagers fight back with farm tools in a pitched battle last year that claimed 6 lives. These kinds of clashes are hardly ever filmed, but they're happening more and more often.
If China were to revalue its currency, or China is to start making, say, toys that don't have lead in them or food that isn't poisonous, their costs of production are going to go up. And that means prices at Walmart here in the United States are going to go up too. So I would say China is our greatest friend right now. They're keeping prices low, and they're keeping prices for mortgages low too.
One sign that this is our future is the plans for the superhighways from southern Mexico through America and into Canada. These plans are not secret any longer. Huge amounts of property will be taken in the name of free trade, peace, and security.
Apart from the violence, the pictures are striking because they're taken by the protesters themselves.
We now experience. There also exists an extraordinary opportunity to form for the first time in history a truly global society carried by the principle of interdependence. And if we act wisely and with vision, I think we can look back to all this turmoil as the birth pangs of a more creative and better system.
This is terrorism of the most worst kind, brought on you by our own government. The strongest, freest nation in the history of mankind will be averaged into world communism. Is that what you want? Are we the people still in control of this nation? We must begin to act like we are.
Could be a catalytic event coming down the pike that would crystallize a sense of rule sets out of control. Were we talking the same level of destruction as World War II? No. But the same level of disruption on some points. Meaning lots of new rules would come in its aftermath. Tremendous rules.
The Amero is the proposed new currency for the North American community, which is being developed right now between Canada, the U.S., and Mexico to make a borderless community, much like the EU, and the dollar, Canadian dollar, U.S. dollar, and the Mexican peso replaced by the Amero.
Where you lay out a conspiracy and then force people to try to prove it doesn't exist.
And I guess I've read some things from my opposition in Canada. I'm not sure these are generally expressed concerns, but a couple of my opposition leaders have speculated on massive water diversions and superhighways to the continent, maybe interplanetary, I'm not sure as well.
Lovely time of the year to visit Quebec. Thanks very much, Suzanne, for that report.
If you've retired, you don't have anything to worry about. It's the third time I've said that. I'll probably say it 3 more times. See, in my line of work, you got to keep repeating things over and over and over again for the truth to sink in, to kind of catapult the propaganda.
They're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club.
Conspiracy or cozy talking shop? The Bilderberg Group is meeting in South Germany this week, at least according to the Financial Times, which says a group of powerful men and women will debate the future of the world.
Will law ever become a reality in America? Some fear any nuclear, biological, or chemical attack on U.S. territory might trigger just that. And as KSLA News 12 Jeff Farrell discovered, the clergy would help the government with potentially their biggest problem. Us.
Potentially their biggest problem. Us.
In the next 5 to 10 years, we are all going to live in a global version of Nazi Germany.
And because we have the dimension of empires. But there is a great difference. The empires were usually made through force, with a center that was imposing a diktat, a will on the others. And now we have what some authors call the first non-imperial empire.
Jeff, the primary thing that we say to anybody is let's cooperate and get this thing over with, and then we'll settle the differences once the crisis is over.
Before leaving, our camera was drawn to a man bearing the burn scars of a past protest. His banner read, "Human rights are more important than living."
Because the government is established by the Lord. You know, and that's what we believe in the Christian faith. That's what's stated in the Scripture.
What are the ramifications? What's going to happen is sometime in the future, at some point in the future, there's going to be a nuclear weapon used in the United States, and certainly a radiological device used. And a lot of radioactivity is going to fall on American citizens, and we're going to have to be able to find that radioactivity and get it off of them.
You say that like it's a certainty, like there's no question this is going to happen.
There's no doubt in my mind that at some point in the future we will have a radiological device, probably soon, and a nuclear device at some point 5 or 10 years out.
Monday on the Fox television series 24, Terror in California. A mushroom cloud spreads over a suburb of Los Angeles, triggered by a mini nuclear bomb set off by an Islamic terrorist.
The average American out there loves the show 24, okay? They love Jack Bauer, they love 24. In my mind, that's as close to a national referendum that it's okay to use tough tactics against high-level Al-Qaeda operatives as we're going to get.
Son of a bitch! I shot her above the kneecap! She can still walk! You make me shoot her again, she'll be in a wheelchair for the rest of her life! How do I find the nerve gas?
If you've been in politics as long as I have, you get used to that kind of technique.
If the president deems that he's got to torture somebody, including by crushing the testicles of the person's child, there is no law that can stop that. No treaty. And also no law by Congress. That's what you wrote in the August 2010 memo.
I think it depends on why the president thinks he needs to do that.
On why the president thinks he needs to